Hello everyone, I'm excited to welcome you to today's webinar. Today we are going to speak with you about modal verbs, and we are going to learn with you modal verbs from elementary to advanced in an hour. You may ask me, why modal verbs? We have so many verbs in English language. What makes them unique? Modal verbs are strong verbs that don't need any auxiliary verbs. They can put question or form negative sentence without any help. They have only one form and don't need as in present simple, third singular, and we use them for expressing certain idea. But today I don't want with you to discuss difficult and complicated tables or speak with you about clumsy structures. Today I want to speak with you about modal verbs and phrases that express the same idea in a sentence. And I want with you to see how to use it in our everyday speech, how to sound as a native speaker, and how to use them for practical skills. Yes, because we are preparing for Zanilla, that's why we need them. So, what modal verbs do we have in English language? We have the following modal verbs: must, that is well known, can, could, may, might, should or ought to, need, and would. What you should remember when we speak about modal verbs, that after all modal verbs, we use infinitive without to. We call it bare infinitive. Yes? And as I told you, for negative and for question, we don't need any auxiliary verbs. What you should remember, that modal verbs exist for expressing certain idea. So what can we express? We do express with the help of modal verbs: obligation, necessity, ability, permission, prohibition, advice or suggestion, probability, and possibility. And today I want to speak with you about every case, and then we will discuss with you every modal verb and exception and some certain cases that you should remember when you use modal verbs in your speech. So let's begin with degree of obligation. When we speak about obligation, the first modal verb that comes to our mind is must. Yeah, it's the strongest form of obligation. Also, we can use have to or have got to. For example, you must or have to be 18 to vote. Also, we can use need to. For example, you need to be 18 to vote. In more formal context, we can use phrases. Keep in mind, they are not modal verbs. Phrases that express the same idea, like be compulsory or be obligatory. For example, the use of seatbelts is obligatory. Also, we can use be supposed to. But be very attentive. This phrase, when we use it, we imply that people sometimes may not comply to do something. Comply, it means agree. Yeah? For example, we are supposed to be in the office until 5:30. Maybe we don't like it, but we are supposed. Next is lack of obligation. So how to express lack of obligation in English language? We use don't have to. It's sometimes something that is not obliged to do something. Yeah. You don't have to go to the meeting. We can use don't need to or needn't. For example, you needn't be at the office until 7:30. We can use, for example, phrase be not necessary. It isn't necessary to go to the meeting. Next is ability. When we speak about ability, the first modal verb that comes to our mind is, of course, can. And you remember maybe from school's period, yes, I can run, I can jump, yes, I can read. All these examples, they express our physical ability to do something. So when we want to speak about our general ability, physical, we can use can. For example, I can play the piano. But when we want to speak about some specific ability, in this case, we can use to be able to manage to, or to succeed in. For example, she usually manages to achieve her ambitions. What is next? Next is permission. For talking about permission in English language, we can use can and could. You can stay here. But also we have other different phrases that express the same idea in a sentence. We can use instead of can such phrase as be able to, or be allowed to, or be permitted to. It's much more formal. Or be supposed to. For example, you are supposed to park here. What about prohibition? What modal verbs give us such ability? Of course, modal verb mustn't. It is the strongest prohibition that exists in English language. You mustn't be late. But also we can use can't, couldn't. We can use phrase be not able to, or another one, be not allowed to. For example, you can't stay here, or you are not allowed to smoke here. Also, we can use our phrase that we already discussed with you, be not supposed to, here in negative form, yes? But remember, we use such phrase when we imply that people may not comply. Comply, agree. We are not supposed to park here. Next purpose is advice and suggestion. The first modal verb that comes here to my mind is should. Of course, we use it all the time when we give advice. Should or shouldn't, ought to, must or mustn't. Must or mustn't we use when we give very strong advice. Yeah? Okay, you shouldn't eat so much junk food. It's our example. But what else can be used? We can use with you had better or had better not to express what we think is correct or bad thing to do. Had better is much more stronger than should or ought to, keep in mind. For example, we'd better leave now before it gets dark. When we speak about possibility and probability, we use may not, might not, and could. For example, we might not go to the party this evening. To express supposition or assumption, we can use will or want. I will get the phone. It will be Dennis. Next, phrases that express the same idea, possibility or probability. Phrases, keep in mind, we're not talking now about modal verbs. We can use such phrases as be likely, be certain, be bound, be guaranteed to. For example, it's bound to snow later. We can use be sure, be positive, be confident, that. The most common phrase and well known is, are you sure that? Also, it's unlikely, it's impossible, it's improbable, it's doubtful, that. Also, we can say doubtful if. It's doubtful that the painting is a genuine Picasso. There is a chance, there is a possibility, there is likelihood that or of something. For example, there is a chance that flight will be delayed. So, in this part of our webinar, we just spoke with you about the purpose of every modal verb and what can it express. But now I want to speak much more in details with you about every modal verb, its example, and its forms. I told you one form, but we have alternative to express the same idea in different tenses. Let's find out and figure out it. So the first modal verb is must. We use these modal verbs when we give someone order, or when we describe duty, or when we make strong recommendation, or when we want to ask formal question. Let's pay attention to our examples. So when we give someone order, you can say, you must be careful. When you want to describe duty, everyone must recycle as much as possible. When you want to make strong recommendation, say, you must go and see. Also, when you want to emphasize your intention, you can say, I must lend you money. But we can use it also for formal question like, must I go? So yes, must, it is a modal verb that we use when we speak about obligation. But keep in mind, we use must for speaking about internal obligation. Yeah? Because if you use it to speak about external obligation, it might sound a little bit too bossy and even a little bit offensive. So why do I say like that? Because must, yes, it is our strong expression of duty, yeah, or obligation. I must work. I must wake up early. I must finish my homework, yes? And it's a very strong modal verb, the strongest one. For example, I must work hard to be successful. So it's much more appropriate to use it for internal obligation. You can use it also when you have certain authority. For example, if you're a parent, you can use it when you speak to a child. Or when you are a teacher, you can use it to speak with a student. Or when you are a boss, you can use it when you speak to your worker. Yeah, but if you are speaking with someone who is superior to you, don't use it, avoid it, because it sounds too bossy. Also, we use must when we talk about the feelings and wishes of the speaker. Again, internal. I must pick myself up. The project is not over. What does it mean, pick up? Pick up, it means concentrate, yes, keep my emotion and do my best. What about its form? We have only present form must and use it to speak about present. I must finish my project. But also we can use it for the past. In this case we have alternative form had to. I had to finish my homework yesterday. And for future it will be have to. I will have to send several emails tomorrow. Okay, let's try to practice your knowledge. Here I prepared for you 3 sentences. Your task is to fill the gaps with correct form of the verb must. Let's do it. So the first sentence you see see the head teacher. Yeah, we don't see any adverbals of time of the past or future. That's why logically here we have to use must. I must see the head teacher. We can use had to when we speak about yesterday, and we see that this sentence is about past because we have this adverbial modifier past. That's why we say, I was very hungry. I had to eat yesterday. For future, we use will, have, to, as you remember. Yeah, we see that it is a sentence regarding future because we have adverbial of time tomorrow, and we can say I will have to go home after lessons tomorrow. You should keep in mind that mustn't or must not, it is the strongest prohibition in English language, and we use it when we want to say that something is necessary not to do, or when it is wrong thing to do. Usually you might see such expression on official signs like mustn't touch pictures, for example, in museum, or mustn't park here. Yeah, so it's the strongest form of prohibition. Also, we use must to express our personal opinion, and we spoke with you about it a little bit before when we discussed with you purpose of the must. So when we want to give very strong recommendation, in such recommendation we really express our personal opinion, and usually we use it when we speak with our friends, our colleagues, very close people, yeah, where we can in a friendly, polite way give strong recommendation. You can say like, it's a fantastic film, you must see it. It means that this film is really cool and I want you to watch it. That's why you must see it. So, when you express your personal opinion, use must. But when you are not giving your personal opinion, in this case, you have to use another form. And this form is have to, not mustn't. Let's compare. For example, the first example is Peter won't be at work. He has to go to the doctor. Here I'm not telling my opinion. I'm speaking about Peter, and it is his opinion that he has to go to the doctor. That's why I say like this. Peter won't be at work. He has to go to the doctor. But at the second, Peter isn't well. He doesn't want to go to the doctor, but I told him, he must go. In this case, I express my idea. I see that something is going wrong, and I strongly recommend him, Peter, you must go to the doctor. Another form that helps us to express necessity is have to. It's not a modal verb, keep in mind. We use this phrase when we want to speak about something that is really necessary. But this form we can use when we speak about external obligation. And in this case, it might not sound bossy. It will be just a polite obligation. And that is all. So you can say, I must finish my project, but when I speak to my colleague, I say, you have to finish your project. And it sounds much more appropriate. So have to is a phrase. And to form question or negative sentence, in this case, we already need auxiliary verb. For present, it will be do does. For past, did. And for future, of course, it is will. So we can use have to or have got to, and in this case we suggest that someone else or outside circumstances make us do something. Someone else makes us. Or circumstances make us do something. Something that is necessary. For example, our parents have to see a head teacher. Maybe they don't want, but they have to. So here I'm talking about a teacher who called them and asked them to come. In this case, we express this idea that this person made them do this. Okay, we also prefer to use have got to. It's much more informal form, yes, but we use it when we speak about necessity that is characteristic of a person. Yes, some necessary characteristic of the person. For example, Anna has got to have at least 8 hours sleep a night. When we want to speak about this case of obligation or necessity, we also can use need. Need is very interesting verb because it can be a modal verb, but at the same time it can be just an ordinary verb. So when it is a modal verb, it is need, and it itself may question, and also it itself form negative form. We never use it for the third form, with third form of the verb. Yeah. Usually we use it mainly in question and when we form negative sentence. For example, need you ask? But keep in mind that need as a modal verb we usually use in very formal language. It's not for everyday speech. That's why you have to use in your everyday life don't need to or doesn't need to. It's much more normal verb, yes, and our example is do I need to fill in this form? I'm sorry, what the difference? When we say must, it means that it is our obligation. Obligation that expresses the speaker. It's just regarding his or her obligation. When we use have to, has to, we say about someone or some circumstances that make us do something. Well, what is the purpose of need? We usually use need when we speak about something that is necessary to be done. And in the same case, keep in mind that it's not so strong. Yeah? We speak about necessary thing, but still we give opportunity to the listener, yeah, to make decision. It's like an optional thing. You can follow our recommendation, but at the same time you can do as you want. That's why this verb need express certain necessity, but at the same time it's up to you. You decide what to do. Yeah, it just gives you opportunity to choose. Another examples will be with need, needn't, modal verb, or need, don't need to, ordinary one. So, as I told you, when something is necessary or not necessary. Usually we use it when we speak about some habits, some general or specific necessity, yes. You can say, you mustn't park here. And it's clear that it is forbidden. No, don't do it. You can say, you don't need to park here. I have another plot for you. In this case, or another lot for you, another space here. In this case, we just emphasize that you can do, of course, but you also can follow my verse. Let's read the example. We didn't need to make a reservation. The restaurant is empty. So you see, you can do it, yeah, but it's not compulsory. You can just do as you wish. Next, what I want to discuss with you is another interesting phrases. Didn't need to and needn't have done. So, why do we use them and what is the difference between these two phrases? We use didn't need to when we describe with you some past situation where something was not necessary at all, but it was done. Oh, I'm sorry, it was not done. I'm sorry, I just messed up. It was not done. Yeah? For example, Kate looked after the children, so we didn't need to take them to the nursery. So, in the particular situation, in the past, something was not necessary, and you didn't do it. You use this phrase, didn't need to. But when you want to emphasize that in the past situation, yes, when something was done and it turned out that it was not necessary, in this case you use needn't have done. For example, I needn't have gone so early to the office. The meeting was cancelled. So, needn't have done when we describe situation, when we did something, but it was not necessary. Now I want with you to practice a little bit our knowledge. I prepared for you some exercise. There is the first exercise where you have gaps and you have to decide what to use. Must or have to or need to or maybe don't need to, don't have to or mustn't. Let's read the first sentence. I can sleep late tomorrow morning because I go to work. So, how do you think? What should be used here? Mustn't, don't need to, or don't have to. Of course, I can sleep late tomorrow morning because I mustn't go to work. Or don't need to. Write me in comments. I will be very appreciative if you take part in our discussion. So I can sleep late tomorrow morning because I don't have to go to work. Yeah? Because I speak about some necessity that goes from some circumstances or some person. Whatever you do, you touch that switch. It's very dangerous. What should we use here? Must, mustn't, have to, don't have to, need to, don't need to. Of course, here we express with you idea of prohibition. Whatever you do, you mustn't touch that switch. It's very dangerous. Another one, there is a lift in the building, so we climb the stairs. Yeah? So we climb the stairs. What should be used here? Mustn't, must, don't need to, need to, or have to. Of course, here we say that it's not necessary anymore. We have this lift. That's why you can say there is a lift in the building, so we don't have to climb the stairs or don't need to climb the stairs. Of course, you can do it if you want. Another example. Here I want you to think whether the sentence is correct. If not, correct it. The first sentence. You must keep it a secret. You mustn't tell anybody else. Is it okay? Yes, it's okay. Because here, I forbidden you to do it. That's why I tell you, you mustn't tell anybody else. Next one. I'll be alright. You needn't to worry about me. the mistake is that needn't is, of course, modal verb, and we use it with bare infinitive, as I told you, or infinitive without to. You needn't worry about me. But you know, it's not very common for everyday speech. You might hear it watching news, or when a prime minister talks, yeah, something like that. In their speech you can hear it. It's usual and common thing for them. But if you speak with your friend or in a cafeteria or with your colleague, of course it sounds a little bit weird. That's why in this case I recommend you to use you don't need to worry about me, and it will be much more appropriate. You mustn't wait for me. You go on, and I will join you later. In this case, I think that we have to use you don't need to wait for me. Yes, in the meaning that it's not necessary. Don't do it. Also, we can use you don't have to wait for me, and it might be appropriate in the meaning that there is no obligation. Don't do it. Next one. You don't need to keep these emails. You can delete them. In this case, I give you recommendation, and I want to say you that you don't have to. There is no obligation. You can delete them. That's why you don't have to keep these emails is much more appropriate here. I needn't have gone out, so I stayed at home. Remember that we use needn't have gone when we speak about something that we, yes, did, but it was not necessary. That's why in this case it's not very appropriate one. Yeah? When we want to say that something was not necessary, so it was not done, we use didn't need to. Let's come back. You didn't need to go out. I didn't need to go out, so I stayed at home. Another example. I needn't have bought X. We had some already. In this case, we see that some situation in the past that was not necessary, but was done. Yeah, some obligation, some task or duty. In this case, of course, this sentence is correct. Let's speak with you about another modal verb. And now I want to speak with you about word can. So, as I told you, this is a modal verb. That's why we use it for affirmative, for a question, and for negative sentence. We usually express with can ability or lack of ability. Yeah, physical ability. The first idea why we need it. My little brother is toddler, but he can already work. To describe what is allowed or not allowed, it is another purpose of this modal verb. So when you want to say that something is forbidden or allowed, you can use this verb can. But in this case, it's not so strong as mustn't, yes? It just expressed an idea that in certain circumstances, something is not possible to be done or is not appropriate to be done. For example, you can look at the animals in the zoo, but you can't touch them. Yeah? It might be dangerous. That's why it's forbidden. When you want to ask for permission, very interesting case. Because for asking permission, we have three modal verbs. We can use can, we can use may, and we can use could. Can, it is ask for permission in a very informal way. For example, when you speak with your friends, with your colleagues, with your nearest and dearest, in this case, you can use can because it is usual, ordinary way how to ask about permission. Can I borrow your pen? Can I open the door? Can I open the window? And so on and so forth. Can I switch off the TV? Our example, can you open the door? Yeah? But when you want to be polite, in this case, it's much more appropriate to use another modal verb, could. Yeah? In this case, it sounds much more politely. You should understand that when you are speaking, for example, to a, manager, your manager, or to a doctor, or when you are speaking to a shop, yes, or storekeeper. In this case, to use can you give me, can I take something, sounds a little bit weird. For this case, it's much more appropriate to use could. But we will speak with you about it a little bit later. Let's think about this modal verb can. So can, as I told you, as a modal verb, it has only one form, and it is can for present. What to do in the past? For past, we have an alternative form, and here could may help us. So we use could. For future, it will be phrase will be able to. Sorry. So let's practice a little bit with you. Our forms for present, past, and future. Look at the following sentences. Here you see gaps. In these gaps, you have to use correct form for present, past, or future. So, the first sentence, I was too tired. I was too tired. So it's about past. And I could only sleep. Yeah, or I could sleep only. In this case, we use could for past. Present. I'm very busy now. Yeah? But in the next part of a sentence, we see adverbial of time tomorrow, and it gives us a hint that it is about future. I will be able to speak tomorrow. Today, we see at the end of our lesson, and it gives us idea that it is a present. That's why I say I can run marathon today. Okay, what should we speak with you about next? Next, I would like to compare with you could and to be able to. Could, as I told you, we use when we want to form a polite request. For example, could I borrow your pen? Or could you show me this book? So in this case, it sounds much more politely rather than can I borrow or can you show. Yes? If you speak to a person who is older than you, who is doing his or her work, and you want to ask this person to do you a favor or just do something for you, and you have to be polite. In this case, please use could I when you want to ask whether it's okay you to do something, or could you when you want someone to do something for you, or when you ask for something. Where do we use to be able to? First of all, we should keep in mind that to be able to we use when we speak about future, will be able to. But when we speak about independent phrase that express the same idea, in this case we usually use to be able to when we speak about ability on a specific situation, and it's very important. Can, it is our physical ability. Be able to, ability on a specific situation. For example, in such horrible storm, she was able to swim to the seashore. So this specific situation was very difficult, horrible storm. And to say here, I could, sounds a little bit weird. why I decided to speak about physical ability. That's why she was able to swim too, in the meaning that she managed to do it, is much more appropriate. It's about our past. In the future, in such weather, I will be able to drive. Again, about certain specific occasion, such horrible weather. And for the present, some people are able to resist most temptation. So it's about to be able. But do we have only to be able to speak about our ability on a specific occasion? No. We have also other phrases like manage to or succeed in. Manage to do something, we use infinitive, and succeed in doing something. After this phrase, we use gerund. So, when we faced some difficult situation, I don't know, some complicated, condition, I don't know, something that is really difficult. And in this situation, when we manage to achieve something, or we, in this situation, achieved our task, in this case, it's much more appropriate to use manage to or succeed in. For present, we use she usually manages to achieve her ambitions, or she usually succeeds in getting what she wants. For past, I didn't manage to speak to the boss, or he succeeded in getting a place at university. And for future, I'm sure you will manage to get a ticket, or I'm sure she will succeed in persuading you. So remember, general ability can, will be able for future, and could for past. When you want to use this modal verb and ask for permission, okay, use can if it is your friend, and use could when you have to be polite. Be able to, manage to, and succeed in, we use when we speak about our ability to do something on a specific situation. Usually we speak about some difficulties that we faced, and in that situation we achieved success, or we just did our task. Let's review the following task. Here you have several sentences, and your task is to choose the correct option. The first sentence: the DVD player wasn't working, but in the end we could or managed to fix it. So, what's your idea about it? What is the correct form? Of course, in this case, we want to say that it was really difficult, but in the end we did it, and we say we managed to fix it. Next. Do you think you will manage to or succeed in finishing your assignment by the weekend? We can use, of course, both forms to express this idea, but the structure of this sentence tells us that we have to use manage to. Because remember, after succeed in, we use gerund. That's why the correct is manage to. But you can say, do you think you will succeed in finishing your assignment by the weekend? It will be correct. Okay, how many languages do you manage or can you speak? So here we speak about ability, but is this ability general or on a specific situation? Of course general, that's why the correct answer is can. Next, I couldn't or I won't be able to meet you tomorrow, I'm afraid. Of course, when we speak about future, it's much more appropriate not to use couldn't, but use won't be able to. That's why it is the correct answer. Some people can or succeed in learn languages easily. Here we speak about ability, but again, is it general ability or in a specific situation? Of course, general. That's why can is a correct answer. The last one. Did they manage to or succeed in reaching the top of the mountain? Here again, the structure of the sentence tells us that the correct answer is succeeding, not managed to. But remember, they both express the same idea. That's why if you change the structure of the sentence, use managed to. Next modal verbs will be may and might. I remember my student spirit, and when I was a student, my teacher used to tell me that may is for present, might is for past. But it's not exactly the correct idea about these two modal verbs. We use these modal verbs when we talk about how sure we are about something, and we can use may and might with the same meaning. Yes, and they are interchangeable. American English, they commonly use might, and British one, they prefer may. If we speak about these modal verbs and look at them as a linguist, yes, we should say that might is less possible in comparison to the modal verb may. So if you say, okay, I might go to the party, it is less possible to comparison, okay, I may go to the party. Yeah? But still, they are very close in meaning. That's why they are interchangeable. When you want to speak about something that you are not sure, that is possible or probable, use them. When do we need these modal verbs? We use them when we want, first of all, to ask permission or ask for something, but in very polite and formal language. Yeah, you may remember it from your school spirit, the classical phrase when you are late, may I come in? And it is really very formal request in polite way. For a common language, when you speak with your nearest, dearest, or friends, it sounds a little bit weird. But when you have to be too politely, super politely, yes, with your boss, for example, or with someone who has this authority over you, use may, not can or could. Can, could we use much more in informal language. When you hear such a request, yes, you can say, yes, you may. And this way of reply will be very authoritative. Usually they say, yes, you can, come in, or no, you can't, yeah, I will punish you. So let's read our example. May we park here? No, you can't. By the way, no, you can't is much more common way to answer to such question. Yes, may when you use in your answer, no, you may not, and sounds too authoritative, and usually it's very common for formal language. But do we have other phrases to speak about ability or probability? Yes, we spoke with you about them a little bit earlier, but also I want with you to look at this table. I remember I promised you not to prepare any complicated tables, but this is very nice and I like it. This table shows us a degree of certainty, and when you are very certain that something might happen, use will, definitely. When it is possible, you can say will probably, will possibly, may or might, or is likely to. When it is unlikely, you can use it is unlikely to or probably won't. And when you want to show that something is impossible, You just can say it won't or it definitely won't. So now I want with you to speak about modal verb that expresses the idea of advice or criticizing. So for such thing, when we want to criticize or give advice, we use should. We also have another verb, modal verb ought to, but it is already outdated verb, and this verb we also use for formal language. That's why in everyday life you might never hear it. Yeah? So we express an opinion when we give advice, or when we criticize someone, or when we ask for something. You use this modal verb should. Should I take up this offer? Also, we can use should when we express an expectation. For example, the negotiation should end soon. Another form that helps us to give recommendation is headbutt. It's not a modal verb, remember, it's just a phrase. It's a little bit stronger than should and ought to, and we usually use it when we want to give a very strong advice or warning. Yeah? For example, you'd better send the package today, or they won't get there in time. Remember, had better is much more, strong recommendation, and usually we use it when we want to give some sort of warning. Another modal verb, as I told you, will and would. Of course, it's clear their forms, yes. But in what cases do we use? We use them when we want to speak about present. We use them when we want to speak about future. We use them when we want to speak about past. Let's figure out how it works. So usually we use will when we want to speak about willingness or unwillingness. Yes, when we express this attitude to the thing that we are doing. For example, the key won't fit the lock. Yeah, it just doesn't want to fit this lock. I can't open this door. Here we express the idea of unwillingness. Also, we can use would when we speak about likelihood. Yeah, for example, we thought the people wouldn't buy the book. Yes, it's expressed this uncertain thing. When we are certain, we use we won't. Yes. Or we will, just to express the idea that we're sure that something might happen. We won't see them again. Or he will be a perfect friend for you. Yeah, something like that. Certainty. Next one, we can use will and would when we speak about word habit. And in this case, we use will when we speak about present and would when we speak about word past. Every day Mary will come home and turn on TV. It is a habit about the present. Each time I gave him a problem and he would solve it for me. This time we use would because we speak about past. Let's speak about some practical skills that you might need, especially when you are taking any exams. So, of course, we can use all these modal verbs and all these phrases to speak about obligation, ability, probability, possibility, necessity, prohibition, yes, permission. But also, we can use all modal verbs. Modal verbs, I'm talking now only about modal verbs, not about phrases, for speculation and deduction. And we can do this speculation and deduction when we speak about present and when we speak about past. Let's begin with present. When and why might we need such skill? Because it is a common task. Describe the following thought. or tell something about this picture. In this case, when you are not sure who are these people or what is this object or what is going on in this photo, you have to speculate about it. And in this case, we can use our modal verbs. We can use the following structure: modal verb plus verb to be, when we want to speak about some person and give this person or maybe to this object some characteristic. Yeah, like look at this photo. Yeah, and let's speculate a little bit about it. In this photo, I can see 3 children. They might be pupils. This guy might be or maybe or could be a good friend to this girl. Who knows? I don't know also. That's why we use this form of modal verb for speculation. Also, when we are pretty sure in something, in this case you can use must. Yeah? For example, this girl must be his sister. I don't know. Something gave me such hint. That's why I told like this. So, when you want to describe something and give it characteristic, it can be a person, it can be any object, yes, we can use structure modal verb plus verb to be. Yeah? For example, this device might be some measuring device. Who knows? I don't know what is it. When we want to speak about further and we heard a question, tell me what is going on, or guess what is happening. In this situation, we have already not to tell about people, but speak about what is going on in this photo. Yeah? In this case, we use modal verb plus verb to be plus main verb with ending ing. Like, these kids might be measuring something. This girl could be making some notes. Yeah? And this girl must be checking them. Yeah, something like this. So when you want to speculate about something that you are not sure, use may, might, could plus be plus verb with ing ending. When you want to say that you are pretty sure, you make deduction. In this case, you can use must be plus verb with ing. Yeah? Let's do with you a little task. Look at these photos. Can you write me in your comments who are these people and what might they be doing? What do you think the people are talking about? Yeah, in this case, first of all, what should we say? We should say about these people and speculate about who they are. Yeah? For example, these guys, yeah, might be relatives. Yeah? Or these people could be a couple. Or these young people may be neighbors. Yes, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm lack of information. What should I say? I just guess. I speculate about it. The next question, what is going on? How to tell what is going on? Again, when you are pretty sure that something is true, use must. When you are hesitating, use could, might, or may plus verb plus be plus verb with ing. Yeah? For example, they might be arguing, or they may be speaking about their future plans, or they must be thinking about what to cook because we see an open fridge. Next photo. In this photo again we see people and we don't know who are they, yeah? What is going on? Who they are? In this case we can speculate. They might be friends. They might be relatives. They might be a taxi driver and a passenger. They might be a couple. What is going on? They might be talking about the traffic jam. Yeah? They must be arguing about this traffic jam, or they can be talking about any recent events. So let's speak much more in detail about these modal verbs and structures. So modal verb plus have we usually use when we want to speculate or make deduction about the past event, when we are lack of information, yeah? And in this case, it's a little bit already another deduction. We already analyze with you some events in the past and express that we are pretty sure that something happened or didn't happen, or we think that something was possible or it probably happened. In such case, we use this structure. So, we use must for deduction. In this case, we are certain that something happened and was true in the past. So, must have plus verb, it should be past participle if it is a regular verb, or verb with ed if it is regular one. My boss isn't in the office. He must have just left. Or I didn't know Olivia lived in Berlin. She must have moved there quite recently. So remember, must, it is deduction when we are pretty sure that something happened. How to speak about something that we are pretty sure that it didn't happen? In this case, we can use can't have plus past participle. In this case, we make deduction about something in the past that we feel or we are certain didn't happen and wasn't true. For example, you can't have seen Alice earlier. She is in America at the moment. Jim wasn't at the meeting this morning, which isn't like him, by the way. He can't have known about it. For a pretty long period of time, grammar told us that for negative deduction we can only use can't, not must not. But nowadays grammar tells us, okay, we can sometimes use must not have, but we never have its contracted form. They must not have read the notice. When we are not certain, we just don't know about this past event, and we can just speculate about it and express some possibility or probability. In this case, we use may, might, could, plus have, plus past participle, or verb with ed if it is regular one. So in this case, we just say that probably something happened in the past and possibly it was true. For example, she's late. She might have missed her bus. I can't find my phone. I could have left it in the taxi. You're not sure. You're just speculating about it. Let's try to practice our sentences. The first is already done. Maybe she missed the bus. We just speak about something that probably happened in the past. We're not sure. That's why we use our modal verb might. She might miss the bus. very interesting thing when we speak about this structure. Yes, modal verbs with past form have. In this case, these have. This one, yes, here it's a short form, is not stressed, and it is pronounced very quickly and even swallowed in live speech when the person is speaking too quick. I might have lost my key. I don't know where they are. I might have lost. It's pronounced very quickly and it is unstressed. Keep in mind. That's why when you pronounce, please never stress them, because it's unnatural. It's not common for this structure. Okay, I'm sure there was some mistake. I'm pretty sure. I'm certain about it. When we are sure, we use what modal verb? We use must. Yeah? And of course, our structure have plus past participle. There must have been some mistakes. Next, perhaps he didn't understand. Perhaps. Here we speak about probability and possibility. We are not certain. We just speculate. That's why he might, or he could, or he may have misunderstood. All these variants are possible. I'm sure they didn't realize. Negative deduction. In this case, the classical form is can't. You are pretty correct. But also we can use must not. Yes? So, they can have realized it. Next one. It's possible Karen went home early. It's possible. Here I speak about uncertain situation in the past where I want to speculate. That's why could, might, and may, they are possible here. Karen might, or Karen could, or Karen may have gone home early. Now I want with you to do the following task. Look attentively at these letters. Here we have all our modal forms and all our alternative forms. You have option and your task is to choose the correct variant. Think about it. I give you several minutes. And then I will read and we will discuss with you it. Very nice comments. So let's read this email and guess correct answers. This email is to confirm that you have been entered for the ITE exam at 9:30 a.m. on 24th April. If you are unable to attend the exam on this date, you should or can let us know. So, how do you think what is the correct variant? Should or can? Of course, in this variant, we should use should, because we recommend you to do it. We need to receive this information and be aware whether you are coming or not. That's why should is much more appropriate here. It is our recommendation. Do it. Okay, let's continue reading. So, should let us know as soon as possible so that we must or may offer the place to another candidate. In this case, what are we talking about? About obligation or probability or possibility? Of course, probability and possibility, if it happens, we may do it. We may offer the place to another candidate. If you're able to attend the exam, you don't need to or shouldn't contact us. So think, what do we need here? Do we need to speak about something that is not necessary? Or we want to speak about something that you shouldn't do? I recommend you, don't do it. Yeah, you can even say mustn't or don't have to. No, of course, we speak about necessity, and here we want to say that it's not necessary. Do as you want. If you want, contact us. If not, no. That's why don't need to contact us. However, if due to unforeseen circumstances you fail to attend the exam on the day, you must contact us within 24 hours so that we can enter you for the exam. Why I use here can, not must? Because here I speak about ability. Yes? If you contact us, we will be able to give you this enter for the another exam. That's why, of course, here we should use can. Can you for the exam on another date at no extra cost. Another case, you must or can bring some form of photo ID to the exam. If you say can, it means physical ability, yeah, or a certain situation, yeah. Of course, it sounds a little bit weird and funny. Why I'm speaking about physical ability? No, I'm speaking about obligation. You must bring some form of photo ID to the exam. This might be an original document and not a photocopy. Again, I speak that it's obligation. It cannot be anything else. That's why we should use must. If you do not provide photo ID, you will not be able to take the exam. So what I want to speak with you about your obligation or about your ability. Of course, ability, yes, because they say that it might be impossible for you. That's why you will not be able to take the exam. You also could or need to bring your own pen and pencil. In this case, we have to think whether we are speaking about physical ability or about something that is necessary. Of course, we say that it's necessary and it's up to you. You can do it, but if not, don't worry, we will give you our one. That's why it's not mustn't and it's not have to. It's need to. So you also need to bring your own pen and pencil. But if not, don't worry. You have to or can also take one bottle of water into the examination room. You can. It's not forbidden. Do it. You can also take one bottle of water into the examination room. Now I want you to think a little bit. Remember, we spoke with you about some phrases that also helps us to express possibility or probability. And I want you to do the following task. Here you have to rephrase the sentence and use the word from the brackets. But before doing it, I want you to review a little bit what phrases do I mean when I'm giving you this task. 1 second. I will show you. So when we speak about probability or ability or something that is certain or may not be certain, yes, we use the following phrases. Will definitely, will probably, will possibly, may might of course, or is likely to. Is unlikely to or probably won't, it is when we're unlikely to do something. And impossible, when it is impossible, won't or definitely won't. So, write me in your comments your variant. The first one, it's probable that unemployment will continue rising. I want you to think how to rephrase this sentence and what will be correct. We use here likely, yes. So how to tell it correctly? In this case, we will rephrase it and begin it with the word unemployment. Unemployment will likely to continue rising. Next, the ice caps are unlikely to melt completely. I want you to use the word probably. We can say that the ice caps are probably to melt completely. Next sentence. It will possibly rain later. We should use our modal verb may. The correct answer, it may rain later. I don't think I will finish my report before Friday. Unlikely. In this case, we speak with you about something that isn't likely to happen. Think about the correct variant. Write it in your comment. The correct variant is I am unlikely to finish my report before Friday. And the last one, if United Nations forecasts are correct, by 2050, the global population might be between 9 and 10 billion. Likely. Rephrase. The correct answer is if United Nations forecasts are correct, by 2050 the global population is likely to be between 9 and 10 billion. So that is it for today. We spoke with you about different variants, how to use our modal verbs and alternative forms for expressing the same idea in different tenses. We spoke with you about different purpose of these modal verbs and why do we need them and what do we express with the help of them. We spoke with you about how to express probability and possibility, necessity, obligation, ability, prohibition, and permission. And also we learned with you how to speculate. It's a very important skill. Keep it in mind and practice it at home. You were watching superb English educational YouTube channel and me, Helen. I'm very happy that I had that experience learning you. Please do your best and never give up in learning English language. If you liked my webinar, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and it gives you opportunity to find more very useful lessons. And please like this video. I wish you positive motivation in learning English language, and keep you safe. Goodbye.